Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the closing stream for Super Pixel Tactics. Uh, it's just me today, so I'll be your host, and I'll be talking through the final 50 minutes of this illustrious campaign that we've recently had on Gamefound. Um, and yeah, thank you for being here, and thank you for your support of the project. Um, it's been a long while, and this has been a really crazy month for us for a lot of reasons that I'll talk about because I have lots of time to just talk about myself today. So, for those of you who are watching now, I really do appreciate your questions and feedback, and like basically anything that you can say on the stream, because I don't have Marco with me. I don't have Josh or Todd with me today. Marco is actually running a convention right now, I think in Singapore. So he's showing off Spooktacular, and he's showing off some of our, I think, Dead by Daylight as well in Singapore. That's happening this weekend, so he's doing that and couldn't be with me for this stream. So, yeah, so I will need your help to have topics to talk about, so I don't have to ramble too much for the next 50 minutes as we get close to the end of Super Pixel. So, first off, I wanted to say a big thanks to everybody who's participated in the project so far, especially those of you who've come on from the beginning, and especially everybody who's held on through the whole project, because we had there's been a lot of ups and downs. We certainly wanted to, I don't know if you've listened to my podcast or you've heard me on various rants. I always talk about how much I hate stretch goals, and I was convinced to give them one more try. And needless to say, we're not happy with the outcome of declaring a bunch of stretch goals in this project. So that experiment has come to an end, and I appreciate everyone who had the faith in us to say like level 99 is not going to show us all this stuff and then yank it away. It's not how we plan to do things. So I do appreciate you guys for your good faith and your and encouragement throughout the project. So anyway, I was gonna say, why have things been so crazy? So I'm at home right now, in my home office, and we we're moving offices. I used to have a 3,000 square foot office, but now everybody works remote, so I don't need that anymore. So I sold that in April, and I've been moving to a new place now, and we'll be fully moved in next month. So it's been a lot of running around and moving all our parts, and basically having to work out of sort of temporary conditions for me and Josh. Obviously everybody who's remote is doing their own thing, and it's fine. But yeah. So anyway, so I've been a bit I don't know what the right word is, but I don't know. It feels like I've been a bit out of touch for the past month, and maybe folks who follow the project like, yeah, Brad doesn't respond as much, and this because I've been doing all these other things, because I've been out of the office for a lot of time. Anyway, so what do I say? What do I have to say? I guess what would be great is if you have any questions about the project, about level 99, about what we're doing next, about the future, about what's happening now. This is a great place to ask those questions. It's going to be kind of open forum, so just hang out, chat with me, ask me anything you want to about the history of this game, how it was developed, why it was developed, and all of that. So, yeah. Let's see. So Casey asked, like, swapping location, your office isn't part of your warehouse, or do y'all not need one of those? Well, it's actually two parts. So we have our own office where we work out of. Me and Josh work for the day, and then we also have our fulfillment center, which is where everything ships from and where all of our stock is kept. And so we actually did just switch our office that me and Josh work out of. We also moved fulfillment centers at the same time from New Jersey down to Missouri. So that's had to move, do everything, had to have everything move. So we've had two big moves in that sense. So yeah, but I think having things in Missouri is going to help out quite a bit in the future. So, and the good news is that now we're bringing over Spooktacular and Dead by Daylight, so we're finally going to be able to fulfill those. It looks like, I don't know how closely everyone here reads the news, but it looks like the U.S. tariff situation is going to, is going to settle pretty soon. Like we're getting some word from, that there's finally rulings on the legality of the tariffs that the president's declared. So we may indeed be able to resume normal operations. But that's another thing that's happened last month, is that everybody in the industry has been scrambling to try and figure out how to adapt to this new world order that we're in. So anyway, I ramble. Forgive me. You can always post and say, hey Brad, tone it down, talk too much. Let's see. Teldrin asks, any future BattleCon releases? You've got 110 characters. Do you need more? Do you need more BattleCon characters? Because there's certainly more Indians characters in the world to translate to BattleCon. I am kind of the feeling that if we did another BattleCon game, it would be more like a create your own kind of game. I'd love to do something that's like BattleCon meets Keyforge, and you buy a packet. It's a unique character that's all for you. That's kind of your own unique fighter, and maybe they even have the ability to level up or transform in some way. So that's the that's kind of what I'd love to do with BattleCon in the future if we go back there. But I think it's going to be a little while. We passed the 15th anniversary. Is it the 15th? The 10th anniversary of BattleCon was in 2022. So 27 will be coming up on the 15th anniversary of that game. I don't know. It's a lot of work to make a new edition of BattleCon. So I think if we did something, we'd probably want to do a reset. But yeah. So let's see. Yeah. Connor says +1 on Pixel Tactics digital version. And Taldoran, yeah, Pixel Tactics Online. So there's not really news on Pixel Tactics Online. We still have all the assets. What happened was we took a couple years to try and find a publisher who wanted to take on the game and maintain it. Because that's what we found with BattleCon Online, is that digital games require so much maintenance and continuous service. And so we want to make sure that it's in the hands of a company that's going to manage it properly, not just, toss it out. And also there's still a decent amount of work to do on the game. We still have to finish a lot of it. So Pixel Tactics Online, no news yet. But now that we have our partnership with Cerebri for Bullet, for Bullet Surge, which is the online version of Bullet, it is pretty likely that we might do more digital projects in the future by partnering with different companies. So there's definitely more talk of getting into the digital space, not directly as Level 99, but through partnerships with actual video game developers. I'm not ready to convert us into a video game developer. What we found is that would require us to stop making board games. It's that much work. So that's really the whole story for Pixel Tactics Online. Still want to, if you find a publisher that wants to put Super Pixel Tactics or put Pixel Tactics Online into their Steam catalog, let me know. But yeah, let's see. So digital update, is this a result of Pixel Tactics Online? Yeah, so when we decided to update the cards, it was really you know, it was an attempt to modernize the game, to make a new edition. And in some ways, we envision Super as kind of the start of an updated line. At least Pixel Tactics 1 is going to be packaged and built in a way that it could go to retail stores, right? So Pixel Tactics 1, the original game, which is the best seller in the series, could go to stores. And then if we see a lot of demand for it, maybe it will lead to more opportunities for the series. So we'll see. But I'm excited to see how the base game, the little one, does post Gamefound. And so we'll see where Pixel Tactics goes after that. So Connor, Arcade Rhythm board game. Still waiting for Level 9's Arcade Rhythm board game. That's kind of how we started the concept for Bullet. Was like, what would a rhythm game look like? And you have these things that fall down towards the line, and you have to blow them up before they get to the line, right? So it's basically Guitar Hero in board game format. But maybe Josh will disagree with me on that. But I said it on a live stream, and he's only in text, so I'm right. Let's see. RC says, saw this game just yesterday. I'm sold on it pretty quickly. Thanks for joining the project. I mean, Pixel Tactics has we're coming on 12-year history at this point. The first game came out in 23, and so it's really cool. Or sorry, in 2013. And it's a very sprawling line. It's been very hard to find all the things. A lot of things are out of print forever. So it was a cool opportunity to pull all this stuff out and kind of take a stroll down memory lane. But yeah, it was good. Let's see. What do you say? I had the opportunity to preview the boss mode. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, and Danisha, thanks for taking the time to do that. I really do appreciate you previewing it for us. And I think that fan boss modes and even fan made adventures are pretty accessible in this game. And I think once we publish once we push the game to people, and once even the print and play come out, then it should be pretty straightforward for people just to come and make their own content and give you more challenges to do. And in the solo mode that we previewed, there were just some what do you call it? We just showed boss fights, but the big idea is that there's deck building, and you're actually going to take a force and you're going to build them up as you go through successive boss fights and such. So that is the kind of the real arc that we wanted for solo mode. So it's a lot of, you'll get to see there's more even than what's been previewed coming up for the boss modes. But yeah, let's see. Josh, still want to make a rhythm game? Yeah, I don't know. Drop Mix pretty good. Still recommend Drop Mix. Let's see. Yeah, idea for a game of BattleCon book publication. Yeah. So yeah, Dalton, I've seen that, and the Midara book is gigantic. I haven't seen the story mode for that, but it's also quite a beast. I've thought about doing a BattleCon dungeon book, doing more solo style games. I have mixed feelings about how effective a solo game experience is going to be, but we do. I want to say Josh does have a solo game that he wants to come out with, and it is pretty much development complete. So we'll maybe it'll be next year. But yeah, so we'll see how solo games do. I know there's more and more of a movement for solo modes, and that was one of our big reasons that we made one for this campaign. But I don't know how solo only campaign is going to work. Yeah. Well, I'm trying to put it on the schedule, Josh. I'm trying. Okay. I see your comments. Yes, it's good. It's a good game. So Casey, you asked like one being the best seller makes sense. Do you think Pixel Tactics number changes shopping habits? Absolutely, it absolutely does. Like Pixel Tactics, when you say there's Pixel Tactics and Pixel Tactics 2, which one do you want? People are always going to say, oh, well, I'll take one. Like nobody starts with two. And it's like, it's like movies. Are you really going to go see, Toy Story 2 if you haven't seen Toy Story 1? Like, probably not. Putting a number in the title is what we found is pretty much the surest way to kill your sales for the future, expansions in the line. Even though they're standalones, right? And we thought, people play Mega Man 2, Mega Man 3, Mega Man 4, so they'll get it that these are standalones. Nobody gets it. They think they're expansions. And so what you see is if you just look at the sales charts, it's base game, 2 gets half of that, and then 3 gets half of that, and then 4 gets half of that, and then 5 gets half of that. We tried it again when we did Pixel Tactics Legends to make the game to make it maybe putting a subtitle on it instead of a number will make it more more accessible. But unfortunately, we didn't see a huge interest in Legends, and that I think probably just because it was such a known quantity at that point, and already 6 of them had come out. But yeah, Connor, that's why we went with the emojis for bullet, because which one do you get, heart or star? Well, they're both base games. It's pretty clear. There's not one that's clearly the right one to go with first. So, and we didn't even want to put expansion 1, expansion 2. I was a little bit nervous about the plus expansions, but we'll see how those go now that we have Orange Plus coming out. But yeah. And yeah, Cruffin I think is also saying, right, the number 2 is kind of it kind of signals that it's a more advanced version, or that it's built upon the basic one. And if you haven't tried the basic one, that number can also be pretty intimidating, right? So who wants to play Pixel Tactics 5? That's probably got a lot of mechanics that are a lot more complicated. And actually, that's kind of true. So they're not wrong. Let's see if I missed any things. Oh, so I was asked about the size of the playmats and the size and quantity of the acrylic tokens. Are they the same as the previous cardboard tokens? Josh would be better to answer this question than me. I think that the playmats are very similar in size to the original playmat, but they are like 2 of them, and they're 2 long ones that you'll have in front of you. So when you say it's a playmat, it's actually a pair of playmats that come in the same box. So it's going to be much bigger than the original Pixel Tactics playmat, which was just 1. The acrylic tokens, I believe, are a bit larger than the normal tokens, because it would be difficult to manipulate acrylic tokens that small, and I think it would be difficult for the manufacturer to cut tokens that are as small as the current life tokens. So yeah, that's my understanding of it. But I'm not the production lead, so I don't have precise numbers in front of me for that kind of thing. That's Ithri or Josh in the comments here. Yeah, so there we go. Bunch of bits about the same. Let's see. Yeah, so what else were people saying? A dice-based battler. I did make a BattleCon roll and fight game a while back. That was play tested. It's okay, but it does kind of, it has the the roll and write adaptation bug of, well, why don't we just play BattleCon at that point, right? That's sort of feel that you get from it. So I I've got it in my pocket, but I've got other things that I'm working on these days from a design perspective that I think are a little more interested in in that. But we may make some kind of dice game in the near future, Anyway, I shouldn't say too much, but we are always talking with different opportunities. What do we say for like dice battling games and all that? Do you ever create kid-friendly version of games like My Little Super Pixel Tactics? That's a great question. We have talked about making like My First type of games, especially like Bullet. I think is the one that's been talked about the most. We pitched a more, I'd say, like all ages friendly version of of Bullet that was like called Star Chart, and you make you form constellations with your tokens as they fall down from the top. That I thought would be really fun. We did try the Cool Animal Facts as a family game. So we have a family game. It's not a like My First type family game, but it is a kids and adults game. And then Josh, what was the other one that we had talked about? Maybe you were just joking about it, but let's see. Trey definitely wanted to do a My First Argent type of game where you play as the students instead of the teachers. Let's see. What else were we talking? We talked about. I want to say it was like My First Millennium Blades or something, but that was like more of a joke. Let's see. Entry level 9 is more through the anime line of games. Yeah, do you have them? Yeah, so I was a big fan of anime back when, in my younger years, and I still enjoy anime, and I love the art style, and I love the artists that we work with on it, and so but we did work with a lot of anime styles, and in the modern, like in our modern games like Spooktacular, Dead by Daylight obviously just used their line or their art, but in like Spooktacular we tried to go for kind of a different look than the rest of the line. But I would almost say Spooktacular is kind of the only first party game we have that's not anime. BattleCon and Bullet and Argent, were all illustrated by Fabio and Noko, and have beautiful art. It's very more of the Eastern style art, more manga-esque, if you will. So we're experimenting with new art for a few games. I think that you'll see more diversity in styles coming out from Level 99, and doing the 99 Heroes packs, which we offered in some of the other Kickstarters, has been a neat way to experiment with some different art styles. Actually, I can show you. Like we have, let's see. So coming up here, I have my Dealer's Tarot project, and so this uses a very different look. And then we've got 3 different artists to do the different decks that you can get. Actually, four different artists to do the different decks that you can get in this project. And each one has its own look. So if you wanted to have a more abstract look to your cards, right? Like such, or or if you wanted to have this more sort of Baroque look, which I really like, on your cards, right? Those are. So we have different styles of art in these upcoming projects, and this is one. Dealer's Tarot is one where you really get to pick your own style and how you want it to feel, which I think is great for card games because the tone of your own table, and you can pick a deck that is going to appeal to your to people. So some of it's deliberate, some of it is is just the artists that we have access to, that we've discovered, and that are able to work with us and in our budget. You know, art is tough. Art is expensive, and it takes a long time to do. And you have to be especially production art, like for board games. Like a lot of people can draw a nice picture, for a commission, but to be able to draw like 30 or 40 sequential pictures that are consistent in style and scale and made to a specification and delivered on time, that is a real difficult skill to find. So when you find an artist that is excellent and reliable, it's really gold. So anyway, sorry, I ramble as always. Let's see. Speaking of numbering, a lot of games are using the X engine now. Would you say not including Exceed in the Strive board was helpful? Anyone who cared about it being Exceed probably already knew. Yeah, Exceed has been kind of a weird thing. We tried to let it Exceed lead when we were doing seasons like 5 and 6. It's Exceed being our second fighting game line after BattleCon, for those who don't know. And this was Exceed was exclusively licensed games. So it was, we did like Street Fighter, and we did Guilty, and then like Blaze Blue, Under Night, and eventually Guilty Gear was the most recent season. And with Guilty Gear, in the other seasons, Exceed led. It was like the big X on the front of the box, and this is the Exceed fighting system. And then in later seasons, we decided to in Guilty Gear, we let the brand lead. So it was Guilty Gear, the board game, and then, for those who knew, powered by Exceed. What's the outcome of that? Honestly, I didn't think it mattered too much either way. It's because every brand is so different, it's so tough to tell what makes the difference, right? Like, certainly Guilty Gear was the biggest seller in the history of the series, but is that because the series have been going 7 years now, or is that because Guilty Gear as a brand stands so high above the others that we had a chance to work with, or is there some other reason? It's a lot of apples and oranges. I would say that probably, I don't know. I think it depends on whether you're trying to capture the audience that wants a persistent game, like the LCG type audience, or whether you're trying to capture the more transactional, I want to have a collector's edition for this brand that I love kind of audience. And when we were doing Guilty Gear, the board game, we felt like it was more this side. Like, there are people that want to have a cool Guilty Gear board game because they love Guilty Gear, and they're not, they don't want to know that there's like 6 seasons before this that are cross-compatible, and that there's a whole engine and and a meta already to this game. They just want to know that it's a Guilty Gear game and it's leading with Guilty Gear. And I think especially for Exceed, everybody who knew because the community is so tight. Like, everybody who follows Exceed knows what's going on with Exceed. You don't have to go and it won't be a mystery to anybody. Nobody's going to miss this if they're following the game. So that was kind of the why we pitched that way. Yeah. So when we're talking about, so I see a lot of folks unfairly slamming interesting games due to obscure themes. Sometimes that's a super important aspect, like Millennium Blades. I definitely, I'd say it can go both ways. If we're talking a theme informs the game, but it's also informing me as a player, right? And if a theme is not going to engage me, I really don't want to do it. Kanban is a great example. Kanban looked like a super interesting game, and I like factory games, but I'm not interested in making cars specifically. I just there's something about manufacturing automobiles that I'm not interested in this at all. And so that game kind of deflected me. But I know I'm the target audience for Kanban because I like these like factory assembly type games where you time everything and put it all together. So it can go both ways. I think when it gets really weird, like when you have here's my specific fantasy world and I'm like following this character on their specific journey and like that's or like we're different aspects of this character's psyche going through an adventure. I mean, like the Solomon Kane game I thought seemed like really strange. Like we're different aspects of Solomon Kane because Solomon Kane's the only character in the story, I guess. I haven't read the Solomon Kane books, but that was a game that like I could have gotten interested in, but like the idea that we're all whereas compared to the Witcher game, we're all going to be members of the party of the Witcher rather than we're all controlling like different aspects of this one character. I think that's a lot easier for players to swallow as opposed to this. Let's see. When I was young, I played a card game where you needed to make potions with ingredients. I have no idea what it's called, but it was fun and good for kids. Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, there's a lot of set collection games out there, and making potions is kind of the classic set collection theme. So I think it as soon as I see a potion making game, I assume I'm going to be doing some kind of set collection mechanic in there. And I think there's a lot of good ones today. There's a lot of good like make potions type games. I really love Quacks personally. That's kind of the one I would recommend to everybody. If you said I want an alchemy game, I'd say go get Quacks. Quacks of Quedlinburg. It's really great. I guess it's just Quacks now. I guess they rebranded. Because Quedlinburg was kind of deflected people too. I think it just doesn't roll off the tongue. But Quacks is great. Let's see. 99 Heroes has been a little hit or miss for me. It's a bit much like booster packs, but I loved all the community art projects. Yeah, I think 99 Heroes is kind of a what did I say? I used to be really anti-random and anti-limited time, and I wanted everything to be available for everyone forever as like this kind of perfect museum of games. But as I've gotten like a little older and more seasoned in publishing, and I kind of understand the ephemeral and temporal nature of all things, and that all that we have in this world is eventually passing away. I don't mind so much that random booster packs. I think it's just part of the innate kind of chaos and disorder of the universe that sometimes booster packs are random, and sometimes you miss a card and you can just never have that card again. That is part of the story that we tell, and it's part of the it's part of your own mythos. Like I really wanted this card but I never got it, and it's that's the white whale for me. Whereas if everything is available for everyone, you don't have that, right? Like everything's sterile. It's like the internet where everything lives forever, online. It doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel like there's stakes. And I do when I buy a game, I kind of want there to be stakes. I kind of want it to be like, this is the bus you get on, and if you don't, engage with this experience, it's not going to be there forever. So you have to make that choice. You have to be part of it and participate. So that's why I'm not so averse to making some things limited or rare or chase anymore. Let's see. If a game's good enough, I think people tend to forgive a theme they don't care about. I've seen enough reviews of MB and Bullet to speak of that. I think that's true if you are, player 3 or 4, right? Like, or even player 2 in a game. But player 1, like the person who buys, when I say player 1, the person who buys the game and brings it to game night, they have to engage with the theme. The theme has to appeal to that person. And if you're player 2, which is the person that I buy this game intending to play it with, they also probably need to be engaged by the theme. Because if I buy a game to play it with you and you are not having a good time, that's a failure of my purchase, right? That's not a good feeling. But if I buy a game for me and you to play together, and it's a 4-player game, and player 3 and 4 join, and they are like, yeah, this game was good. The theme didn't speak to me, but I really like the game. But for player 1 and 2, the two of us really love it, and we engage with the theme, that's good enough. Like, that's just perfect. And I think that's what you need, is you need to, it needs to engage player 1 and player 2 on a thematic level. And that's why it's good if your theme is universal enough that two people who care about playing a game together can both resonate with the theme. It has to be that universal, right? Let's see. Prim says, ever since I discovered the Bullet Universe Kickstarter, I've been a huge fan. I absolutely love co-op games, and I'd love to see something from y'all with an emphasis on cooperative gameplay. What do you think? Well, I think my first thing to say, have you played Dead by Daylight? That's kind of our competitive co-op game. And then Bullet obviously is the biggest co-op game we have. We have experimented with a few cooperative games in the development side, but they've never made it to to production. We haven't ever done a fully cooperative game, and I think that's just my specialty as a designer. I've always focused on competitive games because that's where I started. I've experimented a lot with co-op, but I haven't built one that's co-op, or I haven't published one that's co-op yet. And I think in my mind, I guess that's not true, because I've published RPGs, and RPGs are by nature kind of cooperative, right? So Mystic Empyrean is a cooperative game. Adventures of Argent, when we publish that, will be a cooperative game. And I think that's my main thing, is when I talk about players cooperating, I'm more interested in cooperating to tell a story than I am in cooperating to solve a puzzle, which is ultimately what a co-op board game is going to be, cooperating to solve a puzzle. And that I think is not as interesting. I guess the detective games and stuff, those are interesting, cooperating to solve a puzzle. I really like Escape or Unlock. I really like the Unlock series. Those are cooperating to solve a puzzle. So it's not outside the realm of possibility. But a mechanized puzzle where we together fight against some automated force doesn't feel as engaging to me as a player, so it's hard for me to design that kind of game, if that makes sense. Let's see. But yeah, so I'd recommend Dead by Daylight to you in that case. If you want a kind of a competitive co-op experience. And you can also play Millennium Blades fully cooperative. That exists as well. It's not the main way to play, and I don't recommend it for your first game, but it is absolutely playable in that sense. Let's see. Dynachai, any chance that your games will be on BGA? I could really see Pixel Tactics Dim on there. Altered TCG came to life for me on there. Yeah, so we just actually got Spooktacular on Board Game I'm thinking Tabletopia. Board Game Arena. So Board Game Arena, I have had a lot of interactions with a lot of developers who want to put our games on Board Game Arena. I know that BattleCon is being worked on for Board Game Arena. I know that I'm pretty sure I've given a license for Bullet for Board Game Arena. And it's just a matter of the developers doing it. The trouble is that Board Game Arena doesn't really compensate you for doing these games, so it's got to be a fan project. And basically we're leaning entirely on fans to do it, and fans work on their own schedules, which is understandable, right? We're not paying them for this. But it means that, people are basically doing it for cred, for street cred, or for the love of the game. And so you have to be a programmer who's in love with our games, or who thinks they're going to get the street cred for supporting the people that love our games. Yeah. So BGA is a tough one. tough one to get on. Tabletopia, they develop their own mods, and we do have several of our games on Tabletopia, including Spooktacular, and I want to say Exceed is on there as well, and BattleCon are all on Tabletopia, so you can play those on that platform. Let's see. Talendrin, I feel like it'd be a good design developer for a game, like a board game version of Final Fantasy Tactics, if you ever played Tiny Epic Tactics, something like that. Yeah, I mean, Pixel Tactics was sort of our attempt to bring like SRPG style battles to life, and it's actually kind of inspired by Soul Nomad, if you've ever played that. It was an old Nippon Ichi SRPG way back in the day. So it's got that kind of feel. Actually moving guys on a map to take terrain, that's a topic that that Josh has wanted to tackle for a long time. So Josh and several other team members are big fans of Advance Wars, and they've always wanted to make an Advance Wars style game. So I would love to make an Advance Wars style game at some point. We just gotta figure out what it is. For my part, I really like chess likes. So, games that are kind of like, not in the sense like any abstract strategy game, but specifically in the sense of chess, and like pieces move, and the way that they move is the way that they pressure. So the whole effect of this piece is the ways that it's able to move and manipulate the board. Those games can be pretty hard to grok, but I feel like it would be so cool to build a tabletop tactics game that's using chess mechanics as opposed to like stat and dice mechanics. So if I ever can get there, that's maybe the form that I would like it to take. But yeah, let's see. Is there any chance the lost promos from today's update would be released down the line as a one-off collector pack? Thank you for being the #1 board game company. Well, thanks, Katsurudo. I think like the, if it really depends on what rate Fabio is working on things. I think that we are probably already looking at a game that's going to be ready early next year at this point, because there's so much art left to do. I know a lot of people feel like pixel art is pretty quick, and it's quicker than normal art, but it's still pretty time consuming, especially these big boss sprites. They take a lot of time. So, I don't know. I can't make promises on too many things, but we will, we're going to try to make the best possible version of this game that we can with the tools that we have and the time that we have. And it's all a balance of time versus, versus delivery, right? Like if you give me 5 years, I'll make you a game with, 2,000 cards, and, but at some point we have to deliver the game. And that's really the bottleneck for us. Is it's not that we want to hold back a bunch of cards, it's that, it takes Fabio a lot of time to do art, and it takes a lot of time to print, and then a lot of time to pack, and a lot of time to ship, and a lot of time to deliver. And I know people have different tolerances for waiting. So it's not something where, we say who wants to wait? We just kind of have to make a decision that we feel like is best for, the best balance of all these things. So I ramble a bit. Thanks, though. I want to be the #1 board game company. I hope that in your heart I am. We are. We try. And we do really care. I think that's, that's part of being a boutique publisher, being a group of people that we're actually making the games, and we're actually interacting with the fans, and we're doing every part of this process. It's not like Josh has an army of editors under him that are, reading all these games. He literally has to go and make and check every single card that goes to press himself, and then send them off to press and follow the press and check the proofs, and and it's still just one person that is doing all this until the product is actually in his hands. So it's a whole thing. And what, really what we get out of it at the end of the day is the reactions that you have to this game, is that you play the game and that you love the game, and that you have a good time. And this is why we do this, so we can make something cool for you. So, given unlimited time and energy and effort, I would certainly, provide unlimited games. And I kind of always said this at the beginning, even from like the first level 99 games. If I could just give games up to everybody for free, I probably would. I'd probably just, say like, hey, play it, because that's what's really important to me. That said, everybody else in the office, they like eating food and paying rent. So, what can you say? I haven't been able to break them of these habits yet. Let's see. Where am I in this queue? Bullet TTRPG. Yeah, Crawford. Like we would love to, absolutely. Like talk to Josh. Let's see. Casey says, have you tried Magic Maze? One issue of co-op games is that one player would best play it solo and the others are dead weight. Magic Maze couldn't be done by one person playing them all. Yeah, and we kind of have that idea with what do you say? With Millennium Blades co-op, right? It's too complex for one person to manage all these cards, and so you kind of have to divide up the load. And I'm not really worried about quarterbacking in games. I think that's a player problem, not a problem that games have to solve. So I'm not too worried about quarterbacking. It's more that I think that when I'm in a group with other people, right, and we're sitting at a table playing together, and we are like talking about optimizing a puzzle, that I think is, like I want to have a more thematic experience, and so so I immediately go to role play. That said, Casey, you've played my my cooperative game prototype, the factory game that we had, so you've probably can imagine what a co-op game would look like from me. I'll probably get back to that in a couple months when I have time. Yes, and anyway, yeah, yeah, we'll certainly think about some advanced wars type stuff. That could also be an outlet for any pixel arts that we decide to do. But let's see. Danny Cha, let's see. Not sure if it exists or has asked, but if you consider Super Pixel Tactics card sleeves that match the color of the cards. We had talked about it. Yeah, like we had said, well, we could just sell sleeves that match, so that people who have old collections, new collections can merge. This is a big problem when you have a game that's 13 years old, right? Is that a lot of people have partial games, and a lot of people have like one or two items, or a lot of people have everything up to the modern era. And it's very hard to make, to kind of build a product line that adapts to every single person, unless you want to make a million small products. So this was a big challenge of this project. I think it's a challenge that we're not fully prepared to address, and that's why we saw a lot of the comments that we did on this project. It's certainly something we're going to be thinking a lot harder about in future projects. But I don't know that like card sleeves specifically are the right answer to it. Also, art sleeves are actually quite expensive for what they are. Like when you buy a pack of sleeves that has a design on the back, those cost like, probably like 5 to 10 times more than clear sleeves do. And the margin on sleeves is already really small. So it's not really great to make art sleeves unless you're going to make like 3,000 to 5,000 packs. That's sort of where it is. And I don't know if we have the critical mass for that in Pixel Tactics. So it's more of a financial logistics consideration. Fabio says, If delivering all the promos is just a matter of how fast I get them done, I can always ramp it up a bit. I mean, Fabio, I'll print whatever you draw. I'm going to print it. So that's, if you want to take responsibility for this, that's certainly up to you. But I think with the project being as successful it is, we certainly have enough to pay you for all the promos. So if you want to, let's talk about it some more. Maybe we can make some other cool announcements and do a little more. But my goal was not to commit you to a bunch of art that you weren't expecting to do, and that's why one of the reasons that we said, like, let's not do every single thing. Let's just do what's been done. So, but yeah, now, Fabio, since is the project? Are we done? Is this the? Oh, it's over. So yeah, project's ended now 10 minutes ago. I forgot to do the countdown, but they have this extension thing now, and it runs for 10 more minutes unless if somebody backs again, it stays open for another 10 minutes. So if you want to go make your final post on social media and share the project, now's a great moment. People have 10 minutes left to back. But let me, okay, not anything you draw, Fabio. You know what I mean. I'm. Yeah, no. You know the rules. But I do, and this is something that that kind of came up, right? Like, Pixel Tactics originally came about because Fabio, when we were working on BattleCon, Fabio just drew sprites for all the characters one day, and was like, "Yeah, check these out. I made these," and it was like super easy. And I was like, I could make a game with those, and that's how we came up with Pixel Tactics. So it was kind of me printing whatever Fabio drew. And Disc Duelers kind of came about the same way. When Fabio did all the chibis for BattleCon, I was like, oh, I could make these a game too, and put them in Disc Duelers. So Fabio, if you want to speculate on more art, if you want to draw more art speculatively, I'll certainly make more games for it. I love working with you, and I've missed it. I've missed it since you went down the video game path. So if you wanna get back together, I'm here waiting for you. Anyway, where are we now? Yeah, but for those who are still watching, I would recommend check out Fabio's games. Buck Up and Drive. It's on Steam. Super cool. I don't even know how to describe this game. Fabio will pop in and describe it for me in a minute. It's a wild game, but basically it's, I want to say, it's an endless runner, trick car driving, battle game. Probably, yeah. That. Maybe that covers it all. Anyway, it's wild. It's got Fabio's sense of humor. It's got Van Diesel from Millennium Blades. So definitely top tier. Yeah, I was in the description for the game like I could explain, I just don't wanna, or something like that. Anyway, what else could we say in these final moments? Any last questions? Any other thoughts? Anything anybody wants to know about level 99 or the future or what's next? I guess I can show you what's next if you want to see what's next at this point. Because our next thing is going to be, we're going to take a month in June just to kind of get everything done, get ready for the convention season, and make sure all our press work is caught up, because due to tariffs in April, we now have a lot of backlogged press work that we need to take care of. So we're taking care of press for Bullet and getting most of Super Pixel Tactics ready, I think, and then we'll be ready to start our next project, which should be the easy one. That's Campania. I have Campania here. I'm about to mail this copy, but I haven't mailed it yet, so I can show it off to you. This is a super cool game. I'm so excited for this. This is Campania. It is a localization that we're doing. And yeah, this is, Fabio, this is like an artist makes a board game. Like this is all done by this guy, Akase Yag, who designed the game and, drew all the artwork and then made it his thing. So, that's like, anyway, it's super cool. It's a beautiful, beautiful game. I can open up and show a little bit here. This one is unpunched. It's going to a reviewer, but it's a full box. It's a lot of stuff. Yeah. So anyway, super cool. Connor asked, are we doing more of the Yag Akase games? I hope so. Like, there was some licensing issue with Factoria, which is his other game. I think word on the street is that that's been resolved and that we could get Factoria, but I don't want to commit to that on live television because I'm not 100% sure. So let me make that deal first, and then I'll make the announcements. But it would be cool because it is like cross-compatible with Campania. If anyone here is coming to Gen Con this year, make sure to come by and meet me and the rest of the team. We have our own booth, and you can come find us there, play a game with us. We'll be running a bunch of events. Our events are now bookable on Gen Con. So you can go on Gen Con and you can book some of these games to play with us. Let's see. But yeah, Campania is coming up, and then after that, this book of 22 games that I wrote last year will be published, and then I'm super excited for all these. Like, let's see, yeah. It turned out really good. So this is going out to reviewers now, and going to be there. Booth 613, Josh says. So, cool. Josh, is there anything I'm forgetting? Fabio, anything I'm forgetting? Anything I should say? If not, I think I will start wrapping things up. So, as we reach the end of Super Pixel Tactics, I just want to say, thank you all for joining me on this new project, this new adventure, and for those who have been with us since the early days, since 2012 and 2013 when these games first came out, and those of you who have been with us along the way, who've joined us, and those who are coming on board here at the end, I just want to say thank you so much for making this a possibility, for letting us make these games, and for bringing our works to your table, and for being a part of Level 99 Games. A game isn't complete until you play it. You're the last component in each one of these games, and so we're, from me and from everybody else at Level 99 who's working hard to create these games, I want to say thank you so much for being a part of this, for sharing these games with your friends, and for your continued support, because it's really all for you guys. So thanks again, and as always, happy gaming. Have a good night, and I'll see you for our next project.